Hey everyone, welcome along. I'm just going to log out of YouTube on this event and just hi everyone, welcome along, and I hope you guys are able to see us and everything is going well. I'm just going to check on the YouTube channel. And check that it's going properly. Looks like we are live now. That's where we want to be. There we go. Look, I can see the screen. Good to have with you guys on the YouTube channel already. Give us a thumbs up if you like the show, and if you don't, let us know. We'll see what we can do for you guys. Welcome along, and thanks for your attendance today. Another Sunday, an hour earlier than last week. Back to our normal time. Just trying to find my. There we go. Back to our normal time. It's good to have you guys in the room. We're a little less in the room than normal. Perhaps a few guys still adjusting back to the time today. 5:16 in Singapore, 9:16 p.m. in New Zealand. And I'd imagine it's either 8:16 or 10:16 in the morning in the UK, where Chloe will be joining us from. I think it could well be 8:16 in the morning. We're talking to Chloe really soon. Can I open up the chat box? Hey, nice to see you, buddy. Well, welcome along, everybody. Good to have you. Hey, Gary, how are you? Hope Sterling got back and sorted everything that you were looking for. Look, guys, it's interesting market for mine. I'm going to say interesting. It's far more interesting for me as in an intellectual way than in a trading way. In a trading way, it's a hey, Mary. It's in a trading way, it's a bit frustrating really for mine. It's not a great market, and Chloe will go a bit more depth into some. We've got a great lineup today. Chloe's going to come and do some analysis at the start. I'll just check whether she is in and got everything she needs. Looks like she is. There's me and a co-host, which will be Jeff. And Angie won't be too far away. I'd imagine Polly, you're having some dinner with the girls at this stage. Interesting market. It's a market for me where if you are a range trader, you would be very happy at the moment. And Jeff will be loving this market, I have a feeling. If you are a breakout trader, you'll be licking your lips and going, here we go. Breakouts are coming. Breakouts of ranges are not far away. And if you're a trend trader, I think it's a bit different at the moment. Lots of chop, lots of this kind of stuff. We were talking to someone about the SPX 500, but it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter which one of these you bring over here. The thing is that I can put a box on any of these, and there's a lot of the stuff we were getting, a couple of days, few days, but just chop. And it means as trend traders, we need to be aware of this, and we need to be able to go, okay, well, what's that mean for us? Everybody in the world talking about New Zealand trending. Where? Just hasn't happened, and good reasons why it should have happened and all the rest of it, but just hasn't happened. And it means as trend traders at the moment, 1, 2, 3, 4 days down, 1, 2, 3 days up. This is brilliant, isn't it? We're just, so literally here, 2 days down, 2 days up, 2 days down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days up, or 1, 2, 3 days down, up, down, 1, 2 up, 1, 2, 3 down, or 1, 2, 3 up. It's all over the place. And I think it means as managers as trend traders, the first thing we need to do, I talked about this in my session a couple of Wednesdays ago, that strategies are the vehicle that we trade our market information in. So the first thing we need to do is we need to know what our market information is, what's it doing. And right now it's chopping. And chopping is an expression in New Zealand, which means something else, which is far better. But in the market, chopping for me as a trend trader means that I need to get out at TP1, get closed at TP1, or if I'm able to, if I can't watch the market, I need to get out at TP1 and close the position. Or if I'm able to watch the market, jump down a couple of time frames and trail my stop loss close on an hourly chart, and just take what the market gives me before it turns around. There's some quite good moves here. They just aren't big. There's no 8, 10, 12% moves here. Hasn't been for a few weeks now, and markets were very volatile. This stuff here, woo. Old story of trading, and I think it's a really important part of trend trading. And if you make the money you should make, this is cyclicity: red line, red line, red dot, red line, red line, red dot, red line, red line, red dot, red line, red line, red dot. If you make the money you should make in the area here, then you can give a little bit back in the chop here, right? You'd probably still be okay. You'd get your TP1s and all of these, wouldn't you? You know, it's one of the good things about it. There are TP1s. There's nothing to follow through, but you can give a bit back if you've done your job properly here. If you haven't done your job properly here, this starts to really hurt. You get a couple wrong, and it starts to really hurt. And it's why, you know, you've got to choose your vehicle. And if you are going to be a trend trader with a trend trading strategy, you know, you've got to wait for market trend. You've got to smash it. And then when it comes back to this kind of stuff, you just battle away. You just battle away. Now, talking about trend trading, I have one of our favorite trend traders in the room with us today. I think it's the first time in this role on in the TTR show and on YouTube. Chloe, welcome along. What time is it in the UK?
It's actually 10:20 in the morning in the UK, so I am for once wide awake.
Very, very respectable. Yes, it'd be nice for you to be doing a show where you're not tucked into bed with your laptop on your knees.
Yeah.
Great to have you along, and I'm going to hand over control reasonably quickly, so you can I might unshare so you can start sharing, and let's have a look at some markets from you. We've got Chloe in today to do some market analysis for us. We will have Ainsley in soon after to do oil and gold. We've got Jeff in to do some technical analysis for us. Jeff, you with us?
Hey mate, hey Chloe, how you doing?
Hey Jeff, yeah, good thanks. How are you?
Oh, look, better than people who have morning sickness as part of their life, I suppose. But
Yeah.
You know, Jeff, I'm not sure if people have worked out which one of the three of us might have had morning sickness. I'm not sure that was YouTube news.
do you think?
I'm not sure Chloe's mum needs to find this out by going watching this on YouTube, you know. Congratulations are due to you, Chloe. I'm very pleased that you're about halfway through, aren't you?
Not quite, I don't think. No. Not
And
quite
other
halfway.
than the morning sickness, I mean, there's no other than the morning sickness, right? It's been pretty rough, hasn't it?
It's been pretty rough, yeah. It's been a pretty rough few months. But, you know, there is another side to come out of at some point. I'm sure it can't be all bad.
Oh, look, you know,
I
did say
Chloe
the other
coming
day,
out at some point, I would hope.
I don't think you know, I think we all try and we mean to, to be positive about pregnancy. And I think we all mean to be positive about pregnancy. But my experience is that at some stage, most people have some kind of issue with during a pregnancy. If it's not morning sickness, it's something else. You know, it's a pretty complicated process we're putting our bodies through, or you're putting your bodies through. And, you know, there's always something that turns up that's a little bit unpleasant at some point. And if you can get rid of it in the first try, it's better than the last try. I think with Jackson's birth, I think Dave and I were in hospital every day for 3 weeks before the delivery.
Wow.
She had blood pressure due to the pregnancy, and we just literally go every day, go in, take a blood pressure, wait 2 hours, take a blood pressure, go home every day. Wasn't saying, you know, and it's again, you know, it's funny because you look back at it now and I kind of giggle, you know, it wasn't, you know, but at the time I was thinking, I couldn't get anything done, you know. Worse for her because she couldn't get anything done, she couldn't sleep, you know. It's and you know, again, if you can have your problems at the front end of the pregnancy, it's not the worst thing in the world, Chloe. Hopefully it smooths out and goes pretty well from here. But that's not what we are not here for pregnancy advice. That is not what the show is all about. Now we need to have you share your screen because the YouTube screen has gone dark. The guys won't know what's going on. Chloe, what are we looking at? What currencies are we looking at today? Do you know how to share screen on Zoom?
I am clicking on share screen and I get a message popping up saying host disabled participant screen sharing. So I think you might have to do something in order to
Sorry, Chloe, they
magically make that happen.
I'll make you a co-host, see if that works. Look, Zoom did a big update last weekend to try and get rid of all this hacking. I know you had one of the issues, one of your shows, one of your things was hacked.
Oh, yeah.
Which doesn't sound very pleasant at all, but they did a big upgrade to try and stop that. But boy, apart from anything else, it has just been a mess ever since. The whiteboard's gone. There's no,
I tell you what, Paul, better make it a little bit more difficult than see what I had to see that I cannot erase from my memory ever.
Yeah, I've got to say, Chloe, I like to think that overall, you know, I'm a person who's pretty honest, and part of coaching, I guess, in my life, part of my role in coaching is to talk out what's wrong. But I like to think that overall I'm a pretty positive person, and I just don't understand why people would hack someone else's Zoom and put that kind of crap on. You know, it's just why would it, you know, I don't understand why they're in the first place, but why they would want to share it with complete strangers, I don't know. But anyway, let's move back onto the charts, and we're going to have a look. Look, it's just about the only thing still trending, isn't it, Chloe?
Well, do you know, it's interesting, Paul, because I've got a few things to talk about today. And following on from what you said, as trend traders, it is our job to make the most of trends when they happen. And it is our job not to lose money when the markets aren't trending. Because if I had messages from people in March saying that they had made such a lot of profit due to the trends. I mean, you can just see here on Aussie dollar, for example, all of this time from the end of February all the way through to mid-March. I mean, those trends, this is a daily time frame I'm looking at, but those trends on, for example, the 4-hourly or 1-hourly, it was just unbelievable trading for trend traders. But what it does mean is we don't want to give all of that back when the markets aren't trending as nicely. So really, most of my market analysis revolves around recognizing good trends, recognizing when is not a good trend, so perhaps when it's rangy or choppy, and also preparing for the next trend. Because markets will trend and they will range, but the point at which they go from a range back into a trend is really, really important to recognize, because then you can be ready. You don't miss the first part of the move, and psychologically that really, really sets you up, because you're not forever chasing the market and you're not forever beating yourself up about, oh, I wish I'd caught that nice big trending move. If you can prepare yourself ahead of time, then things should start to fall into place. So Aussie dollar is something that it's not trending fantastically well at the moment. It's pretty sluggish compared to what it was in February and March, but there are opportunities available. And what I spend pretty much all of my trading life doing is just looking at highs and lows. So there's my higher low here, which signifies the end or the potential end of all of that nice downtrend we saw in February and March. So I've got my high and I've got my low. I then need to recognize my higher low again, higher high again. So by this time I'm thinking, well, this is looking like an uptrend. It's actually not bad. Another higher low, and I'm looking for a place to get into the market, because by this point, I don't have any resistance above me, any strong resistance close by, and I can trade long at this point because I do have an uptrend during this portion. But exactly what you said, Paul, is very, very wise to trade a lot more cautiously during these times, because we don't know how long these trends are going to last until they start ranging or chopping again. And so that's why having good trade management in place and perhaps being a little bit more conservative with your take profit one area, even as Paul said, taking all profit at take profit one and then look for a new opportunity. But there are opportunities around. All I would say is, for me, I spend a lot of time looking for where am I going to get tripped up in the market. So I'm long in this at the moment. Where am I going to get tripped up? Well, I'm going to get tripped up at this horizontal level up here, and the 200 moving average on the daily. Those are strong levels of potential resistance. Now that horizontal level I've drawn in is a pretty strong horizontal level. I've based it on the weekly chart, and these previous lows here, there are several touches. So that's the level really, combined with the 200 moving average there, that I would basically be looking to take all profit at. I'm not so interested in running all the way through there. So those are the Aussie pairs. They are trending. We could say the same about Aussie Kiwi as well. It's trending to the upside. And it's just a case of finding those entries. There's an entry potentially setting up here that I will be looking at. But it's about being cautious and aware of those horizontal levels. There's a definite horizontal level there. Trading up into that, we're going to have to be conservative with our take profit levels. Let me just get rid of my scribblings. Another thing that has just broken into trend potentially is Euro GBP. So this is something, and again, this is where I spend a lot of my time looking at markets that are ranging or consolidating. So this period here is just range. The market's going sideways, the moving averages are doing nothing. It's just rubbish in terms of trying to find a trend trading trade there. It's slim pickings, it's really rubbish, but it doesn't mean it's going to be rubbish forever. What it does mean is I have to look out, it's my job to look out for, and whether your preference is to use trend lines or whether your preference is to use horizontal levels, whatever your method that works for you, work out what you need to see in order to start trading that again. So for me, I've seen all of this area of consolidation here. I'm waiting for a breakout, and most importantly, I am waiting for my higher high. I'm waiting for that higher high to break out here, and I'm waiting for a higher low. So my higher high has happened. Price is now really broken out from all of these previous highs, all of this range here. I'm now waiting for my higher low so that I can trade long. So that's another thing that hasn't been trending very nicely at all for the last probably month and a half or so, even almost 2 months. But now I'm looking for that to start trending again. It might not. I don't have a crystal ball, but what I can do is analyze the markets, work out what I need to see in order to take trending trades. And right now, this has, for me, broken out of the consolidation, and I'm looking to trade that with the trend. Euro dollar, on the other hand, now this really is a very ranging market. We've got the lows down here, we've got the highs up here, and this for me is not a market that's easily traded with the trend. Having said that, if you're looking at the lower time frames, then potentially, because we have a range and it's a very clearly defined range, potentially if price does come down to test the bottom of the range, then as a trend trader on the lower time frames, there are some trades that could be picked up. But again, as Paul said, using conservative profit targets and taking profit early rather than letting the market chop and change and move against you. The other thing that's really started to move at the moment are the pound pairs. So pound Aussie, I've got up here. Again, I can clearly see lower highs and lower lows on the daily time frame. So this is another one that I'm looking out for. There are horizontal levels to be aware of here, for sure. We've just broken down through a fairly strong horizontal level. And again, I'm looking to trade, in fact, I think it's cable that I am currently trading short. And again, you can see here, we had pretty much the same high and we had a horizontal level here that was holding price up. And all I was doing was waiting for price to break through this horizontal level here and then come back and retest. So I've got my breakthrough, I've got my retest giving me my lower high at a horizontal level, which was a level of support, now potentially to become a level of resistance, and trading that to the downside. So that's another one that I've picked up. The pound pairs, potentially worth keeping an eye out now for short opportunities with the trends. But again, as Paul said, priority is risk management and conserving capital, because these markets aren't necessarily, I'm not necessarily hoping or assuming that these trends are going to look as nice as what they were back in February, March, because we've got very uncertain times in the market. There are a lot of things going on fundamentally, which I can't even begin to unpick. And that could change the market direction at any time. So I'm picking up on trends when I can find them and when I see them, but definitely being very conservative with those. And another couple of examples where we have ranging markets that I'm looking to break out. So I just see these as opportunities, really. And another thing is, when we're trading trending markets, we have to make as much profit as we possibly can while those trends continue. But it doesn't mean that we have to trade when we recognize ranging markets. So quite a lot of the time, dollar CAD, I haven't taken a dollar CAD trade for I've maybe taken one trade in 2 months on dollar CAD. I don't have to trade this all the time, but what it is my job to do is recognize where the potential is for seeing opportunities. So, oops, wrong one. I'm looking for a breakout from one of these two areas, either to the downside, in which case I'll start taking short opportunities that I find, or if it's to the upside, I'm more focused on this trend line here, this downwards trend line, where I'm looking for the upside to break. And usually what I'll be looking for is I'll be looking for a break and a retest, because that for me is the confirmation. We can very often get false breakouts of ranges and of consolidations. And what I don't want to do is take a long trade here and then get stopped out when price comes against me. What I do want to do is wait for confirmation of price to break out. There I've got my higher high. Then I need to wait for my higher low. It can retest the trend line, or it can retest the previous high, or it can just retest a level that my strategy is telling me is a good point to get in the market. And that's where I would be looking to trade. And likewise, if price were to break to the downside, I'd likely be waiting for a retest of that level in order to trade short. And of course, looking on the lower time frames as well, these are the points where I'd be looking to enter the market as well. So even if the markets are ranging, I'm always looking for, I'm not necessarily getting upset that I can't trade it, but I'm always looking for what is it that I need to see in order to trade this. And this is what I've been looking for on Singapore dollar. And on this occasion, it didn't actually work out so well for me. Looking for a breakout of this trend line here, really nice downwards trend line. We had pretty much a symmetrical triangle pattern, and I had a breakout to the upside here. And this breakout here was something that I've been waiting for weeks, and it happened. And what I was looking for was a retest and a long trading opportunity. This is why the retest is so important, because actually what happened was when price came back to retest, it didn't retest, it went back into the ranging area. So I never actually got my opportunity long on Singapore dollar, but I was looking out for it, and I will still continue to look out for it. Now I've got the same low down here. What I'm waiting for is to see if price can make a higher high. If it can, then again, I'll be looking out for long opportunities. So it's always a case with trend trading that at the same time as making the most of the trends, you should always be looking at currency pairs or instruments, whatever it is you're trading, and looking at the market. And if you can't find an opportunity right now, what is it that you need to see in order to find an opportunity? That always should be your homework. If you're not trading right now, why aren't you trading? And if it's because the market is ranging or unclear, what do you need to see in order for that to become clear to you? And that psychologically will give you confidence in your trades, because if you do then see that happen, the next time you see your trading strategy setting up, you can just hit the button because you anticipated it in advance. So gold is another thing that currently it's trending upwards. I've got higher lows and higher highs, but again, it's pretty sluggish. So yes, I'm trading this when my strategy sets up, but as Paul said, I'm being pretty conservative with my targets, and I would much prefer to take profits early than not at all, because there will always be opportunities, and these markets will start trending properly again one day. It's just our job to not lose money and to conserve capital while it's ranging, and to make the most of it when it does start trending. But as a trend trader, there are still opportunities. I'm in maybe five trending trading opportunities currently as we speak. There definitely are still opportunities, but make sure that you have them clear in your mind. Make sure you're trading clear price action.
One of the things, isn't it, Chloe? You're better to have a list of 3 great currencies to trade this week than 30 average ones.
Definitely. Absolutely. Yeah. And there's just no point trying to fit a trending strategy into a ranging market. You might as well have a break, put your feet up, go and do something else. The markets will always be there tomorrow, next week, next month.
And trend always comes back, right?
Always does. Yes.
There will always be trend, right? You nearly done? You winding up here?
Yeah, pretty much done. Yeah.
Cool. Look, I've got, I'm not sure whether I'm going to invite Julian in for a second or whether I'm going to invite Ainsley in. Julian, I noticed has popped into the room and I thought I might have a quick chat with him. Julian, are you with us?
Hey, Paul. Hopefully everybody can hear me okay.
But I think everybody can hear you okay. I'm going to grab screen in case you want to.
No, stay there. Whatever that is, leave that there.
Okay, well, that is gold on Chloe's. That is gold on Chloe's chart.
Brilliant.
Mate,
gold chart is gold.
I was going to say gold's interesting, isn't it? Do you go long? Do you go short? There's just a feeling both ways. But I reckon this is a market more than any market I've seen for a long time, where it's not indecision. There's genuine buyers and genuine sellers, and no one can win at the moment. And it's not a market that's waiting. It's a market that's just being neither opinion is winning.
So I'm on full alert in gold, and the reason why I'm on full alert is twofold. Number one, it's a remarkably mainstream position to be long of gold now.
Oh, isn't
so
it? The world's long of gold, isn't it?
I'm not sure there's many commentators out there now who aren't saying, "Oh, put 10%, put 20% of your portfolio into gold. It's got to be, it's got to be, it's got to be." Now, one of the charts you can't see on this is a chart of the what some of the miners. So Newmont Mining will be a really good example. Newmont Mining is a mining stock I've owned forever. I think 18 months or so, something like that. I bought it in the 20s. I sold my position on Thursday in the mid 60s. I am over gold miners, and I never thought I'd ever say that. I'm over gold miners for the time being. There's a rationale behind it. For those who don't know about the Tom DeMark sequential setups, just take my word for it, it's run out of steam, right? This may not look like it when you look at a chart, but the time is right for a correction in this market. Now, when you combine that with the commercial short positions, which aren't as big as they have been, but they're still pretty chunky, and you also combine it with the fact that...
Can I jump in for a second? I don't mean to interrupt.
Please do.
First of all, I'm not sure I thanked Chloe, and I feel bad already. So, Chloe, thank you very much. I really appreciate your piece. I appreciate you sharing your screen with us as well while Julian talks. Thank you very much. I know Ainsley was also unmuted. Ainsley, we'll come to you pretty soon to talk gold as well. When you talk about commercial longs and shorts, you're talking about commitment of traders report, the stuff we get from Market Made Clear, the information that we will have available to all our membership students for free next week or the week after. We're going to give them the whole lot COT data for free for a month or so. You're talking COT data, right?
That'd be awesome. That's just such an awesome offer. Exactly right, Paul. That's what I'm talking about, the commitment of traders data.
Now, quickly on commitment of traders, if commercials are short, look, there's commercials and there's a group that are called other names, but they're basically retail traders. And we want to be on the side of the commercials because the retail traders are always wrong. Is that correct, Julian?
That's the basic thesis, Paul. Picking that time when you're exactly wrong is not quite so. Yes, that's a market setup that the commercials will be short and the retail traders will be very long, and that's exactly the setup we have in gold at the moment. And I think what's really important about that is that those two positions can sustain themselves for quite some time, right? So in other words, you can't pin it down to a day.
Yeah, COT's not a timing tool, it's a directional tool, right?
It's a setup tool. It presents us with an opportunity whereby if a change of direction is going to occur, then it turbocharges the confidence we can have in the trade that market will be reversing at that moment in time.
And if commercial shorts, if the commercials stay short, eventually one or two things is going to happen here. The commercials are going to stay short in this market, is going to turn around because commercials are selling it, or commercials are going to reverse their positions. One of those two things will unwind over the next few months, right?
Correct.
I like when I get a few things correct. The COT things, I haven't done a lot on COT. It's not really something I've worked a lot more on seasonality and a bit of the fundamental stuff, the COT stuff. I sort of fundamentally, I'm looking forward to sharing the data.
All right,
Mate,
let's talk
before
seasonality too.
we're talking
Maybe
seasonality
Ainsley can talk about seasonality when she comes on, so I'll leave the seasonality to Ainsley.
I might ask you a couple of questions if you don't mind. I've got a pretty full room today. We just you just started your first. We did your pilot program last few weeks. Chloe was one of the people who's in your pilot program. I sat in as well. Bloody awesome. And this was the first week of your professional traders program where you're going to speak to 4 people, and they join for a month. And we recommend 3 months, but it's your choice every month. You can stay for a month. You can stay for 3 months. That's up to you.
Absolutely.
So first one, how'd it go?
I had some feedback straight away, which seemed to me to indicate that it went quite well. I'm looking forward to working with some with 4 students, and just to keep everybody on top of this, I do not take any more than that. There's a rationale behind that, and the key rationale behind it is I want everybody in the meeting to be safe and to have, what I mean by that is to be able to make any comments they want to. It's always a bit embarrassing when there's 10 people in the room if you say something, well, my trading is a complete pile of crap at the moment. And it's much easier to say that with a small number of people, and then we can get down to why things may not be going as well as you'd like, or why you'd like to improve and where you'd like to improve. So I keep it tight in a very small number. We don't do this very often, Paul. We just, we have something that's going on right now. This is an opportunity for people. And yeah, I'm looking forward for the next few months.
But I want to jump in and do the math for some people here, right? We've got 4 people in your program, and we expect on average for people to stay about 3 months. If that's true, we're going to have 16 people a year work with you.
Yep.
So we're doing the flow with Mikey on Monday night, and we've got 150 registered in 100 spots, right? We're going to have, and we can do that again next week to catch it up, right? I mean, in an average year, 500 or 600 people go through the flow program with Mikey. So it's a great program, right? In fact, it's born from a discussion with you. But this year, we're going to have 16 people do your program. We've got 4 of them already. And I don't mean this year, in the next 12 months, right? So we've probably got 12 more people that get a chance to work with you in small group and one-to-one. These guys get a one-to-one session once a month as well, right?
Totally.
And we're still doing the introductory special at $12.50 a month, right?
Yes, we are, Paul.
Yeah, and that's not even US dollars, that's Singapore dollars, right?
Yes.
Here's what I'd encourage a couple of people to do. Get in touch with the team, be it Shirlene or the contact email, or depending on what level you're at, and let someone know you want to be on the list, because I don't think we'll be advertising this very often. You know, if at the end of this month, one person pulls out, I've got 1 spot. I don't have 10 spots. We're not doing 3 of these in a night. We're doing 4 of these, 4 people, Sunday afternoon at 4 p.m. Singapore. It finishes just before this session here at 5, just after our traders, our people who trade for us discussion earlier. So don't miss out. If you want to get on this program, I'm probably going to have 12 more people do this program in the next 12 months. So if you want to be one of them, I'm not telling you you've got to contact Actions to Wealth and front up with money and data. I'm saying be in touch and ask to be on a wait list for it. So when a spot comes up, we can just let you know, and you can take it if you want to take it. Money back guarantee as well. Hold on, Ainsley. You can in a second. I haven't finished.
No, I was just going to say one thing. If it wasn't for Julian, I wouldn't be trading. So if anybody has an opportunity at one of those 12 spots, grab it.
If you can make an Australian good at something, you are a talented person. If you can make an Australian, thanks, Ainsley. I'm only kidding. Julian, any other?
Thank you, Paul. It's going to cost you back.
I know. Can you believe it was a year ago we were in Hong Kong? I couldn't believe it when I saw that today.
I can't believe it. Can you believe it?
No,
but I was just saying, for anybody, I know you're talking about prices, and I saw the price on Telegram, and it broke my heart because
this is the difference, isn't it?
I can't believe if anybody has an opportunity to have any time with Julian.
So Ainsley, you and I have both been mentored by Julian over the years at different stages.
I've been coached. You didn't get up at 4:30 in the morning, back. I did.
No, I'm in New Zealand. But the thing is that we know that at full price at $2,500, it's underpriced. Never mind, to get a professional institutional trader to teach you is impossible. And these guys, they don't start in the thousands; they start in the tens of thousands for these guys.
I've seen these
it's ridiculous.
Guys. I know exactly.
Look, I don't want to just keep going on about Julian's program. Julian, any other charts you want to have a look at?
Actually, Paul, I think we can. Does Chloe happen to have a chart of the NASDAQ up there?
I'm sure she'll find a NASDAQ chart for us. Hey, have you had a chance to have a look at the new broker?
I haven't, Paul. I apologise. I have been taking some
no
personal
rush.
time this weekend. I've had a exciting weekend. I can't tell you. You know how we do our one. You know how we do our one-word label and table, Paul. Today I came in excited and energized. Those were the words I used. I was another double barrel word, and I was excited today. I've had a fantastic weekend, and not notwithstanding the fact that it's been raining all day today, but I managed to play golf in the rain and still get excited about it, which for me is unbelievable because I'm a fair weather golfer these days. But thank you, Chloe. That's awesome. Guys, the rally in the NASDAQ has been, notwithstanding anything else, been unbelievable. For those of you that are worried about stock markets, don't be. Look at this one. It's almost back to the all-time highs that we put in place pre-COVID. What is that about? You go look at any of the other stock market indices in the world, none of them have performed like this, right? But don't forget what's in here, right? We've got Facebook, we've got Amazon, we've got Google, all the tech guys, pardon me, Apple and Microsoft, all the guys who benefit from online ordering, all the guys who benefit from the lockdown are part of this, right? What's really interesting about where the chart sits now, Paul, is we're going back to look at where the previous sellers showed up. Within the next 100 points on the NASDAQ, or a couple of 100 points on the NASDAQ, is where last time around this market turned on its head and went down. So those guys who bought in the 2 previous weeks to when the sell-off started, right, have now got back to break even. I wonder what their decision making is going to be given every piece of water that's rolled under that bridge, right? If I don't mind me mixing my metaphors. So right now, what I do see coming on is, and this is the reason why I think the next 3 weeks are going to be really crucial for us, is some countdowns that I'm seeing in terms of cyclicality in this market, which suggests to me that the NASDAQ has hit maybe not the high, but over the course of the next few days, it will turn around and it will start to reverse. I don't know what that means elsewhere. There's a similar type of setup in the S&Ps as well too. I haven't looked at any of the other stock markets in the world, so bear that in mind.
This one June thing's turning up in a hurry, isn't it, Julian?
It may be something to do with 1 June. I'm not sure. You know, there's an old saying which is like sell in May and go away, and I've always sort of ignored that in terms of trading stock markets, because these days, especially, you know, with our fake news and our news and the cyclicality, it's really hard. But one thing's for sure is we're overdue, right? So every day that
May
we
is
go
not
by
a selling month in stock markets globally. Technically, historically, it isn't, but June is, and you know, I like what you're saying, because I think that you know, we're going to see looks like we're going to see the S&P push up to 3,000. And you just can't help but feel there's a few targets. There's a few top end targets in sight in some of these markets where if we get there could be a lot of selling.
Yeah, look, and sorry, excuse me for a second. I'm busy eating, but trying to have my tea. But one thing that's really important about this, okay, is that I've been quite quiet for the last couple of weeks while I've been patiently waiting because I have not seen anything turn up. Yep. Now I'm seeing a whole bunch of things turn up. I'll let Andy talk about the seasonality in gold, but wouldn't that be interesting if both gold and the stock market went down together?
Yes.
That's the thing,
what does that mean? What does that mean for the commodity currencies?
Going down first floor.
Well, yeah, if gold's going down, you'd expect the Kiwi and the Aussie and the CAD to all be going down, right? But they should all be selling.
My old favourite dollar yen, which is ridiculously overvalued right now.
Haven't I?
Hasn't it
Gosh, it's been good fun to trade. I've done well on dollar yen the last few weeks. It's it just seems to me right now it's where you say it's going sideways. It's pretty solid technically. I got a monthly pivot bounce short that went pretty well for me, and I picked up another one. It bounced the other way. I took the long off monthly pivot this week, and on the hourly chart took to a trend line and just banged my position out for the whole thing at that. But what time frame are you on hourly? Oh yeah, I took the one with 21st of May, the little close of the little close above, and next one down, next one along to the right. Yeah, path further. I just got under the top of that first green bar and took that bar up, closed it at the top. took a trend line that was running through off the top and just took the whole lot out there. Didn't leave any of it on. I don't like the, did I do that or did I go short? I think I went long. I think I took the long. Yeah, I took the long. But it's, yeah, I like the dollar yen. It's good fun to trade at the moment. You know, it just seems to, you know, it seems to me, if you take away any bias, it's just quite predictable in what it does. You look at it and go, it's probably going to go there, and it tends to go there, you know.
So one of the key things I think in dollar yen is that market is set up waiting for a major move. And when I mean a major move, I'm not talking about between 107 and 106. I'm talking about between 107 and even 100 even. The dollar yen is very overvalued, and now the interest rate spread differentials between the US and the Japanese market are almost zero. There's a tremendous opportunity for the dollar yen to strengthen. So a lot of the reason why the dollar yen continues to weaken in terms of, or rally in terms of the dollar and weaken in terms of the yen, is because a lot of the yen money, and they have a huge savings, a huge amount of savings there, is transferred overseas to buy high yielding assets such as US Treasury bonds. Well, there's not much point buying them when they yield the same as the bonds domestically now. So why would you bother? So therefore, those capital flows might not be as aggressive as they have been. And why would you be buying stock markets now at the highs? So there's lots of reasons, you know, sort of flow reasons why I think the movement out of yen into US dollars is going to pause. And if that is the case, then dollar yen has the potential, if I say this very carefully, has the potential to go significantly lower. On a purchasing power parity basis, it's overvalued. It should be nearer, you're not going to believe these figures, it should be nearer 90, right? Not 107. So there's a lot of reasons why the dollar yen should be lower than where it is now.
Jules, would the Bank of Japan let it go that far? Because we know that they're notorious for intervening.
They are, but I don't think they have, at this point in time, I'm not sure they're too bothered about that, to be honest with you, Ainsley. What's the worst that's going to happen?
Well, they intervene and the market tends to correct it.
Actually, they don't mind, do they? They intervened before the Swissy, didn't they? When the Swissy clipped to the euro, they intervened before that, and they played pretty hardball for a little while as well, those boys. But again, I'm with Julian. But one thing about it, one thing I really like in this conversation too. So you take this as a thesis, right? The dollar yen might go to 90. What's it mean? Well, it means you don't have to rush in. Wait for a lower high. Take your time. Pick your moments, right? Plenty of space here to pick your moments. And maybe the central bank will intervene, possibly, you know, but they're not going to intervene between now and, well, not 97. I wouldn't have thought 99. You're going to get to 100 flat without too much upon the central bank, I'd have thought. So you've got plenty of space down there to make a truckload of money and worry about the rest of it when you get there, right? You know.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting. An interesting market. Still for mine a lot. I'm looking forward to the end of this chop. I'm looking forward to some stuff coming out of it. You got one more for us, Julian, before you go? Or are we off to Ainsley to talk seasonality on gold?
For those of you people who get very excited about other commodities, corn is looking like it's about to make a turn, and I'm bullish on sugar as well. But I don't think I don't think many people are going to be trading those with me. So
hey, let's just ask you picked out a huge win on natural gas a couple of weeks ago in your broadcast group, right?
Yes, I did. Where
should our guys trade that stuff? So you're not going to trade it on IFS, and you're not going to trade it on Fusion. Where are you going to trade it?
So there's other brokers that will give you those prices. And
IG Index,
especially now. Yes. So IG Index would definitely do it, and it really comes down to now the CME has launched a lot of micro contracts. So then more and more brokers will be picking up those. I wouldn't say they're esoteric markets; they're actually pretty big fundamental markets, but they'll be able to pick those up because of the fact that the CME now does micro contracts in quite a few of these instruments.
It's been
so
really
that means
interesting.
That they're often much smaller in size and more able to be traded, and therefore backed off by the brokers who use who quote them as CFD. So it should be good for spreads. And should be good for visibility and width in terms of a series of different markets. You know, the other side of it, Paul, is that we can also benefit from quite a few of the commodity markets by looking at the commodity currencies. So, you know, traditionally the Canadian dollar and the and also the Aussie dollar are sensitive to both gold and oil, and sort of by definition with the Aussie, the coal markets as well too, and being the major exports. And that really, understanding those two markets often can lead you to some interesting leading indicators for what's going on in Canadian dollars and also in the Aussie dollar as well too. And this, sort of by definition, the Kiwi would fall into that camp, although it's not so much of a related to either of those two areas, but it tends to get followed along by what movements happen in the Aussie market and also in the Canadian, for reasons because I live here that seem very strange to me, but it just is. So we just run with what is happening. And
Interesting
look,
comments.
I think this is a really interesting time in terms of where equities are positioned. I don't know what Ash said on the meeting beforehand, but I'm a little nervous, and we'll see what happens and unfolds over the course of the next few weeks. And like I say, maybe Ainsley can talk about the seasonals in both oil and also in gold, which are hitting turning points as well too.
Cheers, John. Really interesting your comments about the CME and the micro lots. Interesting week. We've seen Royal and Accutrader both come out and add a lot of products. And obviously, we have been with both those brokers in the past. I've still got an account with Accutrader. I don't think I've got an account with Royal, although I may have one tucked away somewhere I don't use very much. But interesting to see not only a lot more products, but a lot of different products coming out. There's some limitations on the ATW accounts with Fusion on the stuff that they share with us in ATW accounts. Just really because I don't take the risk on crypto. I don't want to be paying the losses when people punt on crypto, and that takes a group of stuff out with it. But if you're live with Fusion, they've got a bloody good range already. I like Euro Gold as a pair, to be honest. But also, I think there's more coming. I think we're going to see UK shares on Fusion not far away from what I understand. And it is interesting to see more products coming. And, again, you need to be vigilant and careful. More products coming means you can scout through more for great setups, or you can waste a lot of money trading a lot of stuff you haven't done your research on. You've got to be pretty careful. Jordan, thank you very much for popping in. Really pleased to have you in the show today. And thanks for doing your session with the team today. I haven't spoken, but I know that I've loved it. I know the team that did it previously loved it. We will see you next couple of weeks. Please keep going again. If you do want to get onto Julian's program, as I said, we expect to take 12 more people on in the next 12 months. Contact at Access to Wealth or Shirlene, and let them know, and we will start a little list up, and we will call you guys in order. If someone pulls out, we will call you and give you the option. And please, look, if you don't want to spend the money, don't put yourself on the list, But if you're interested in doing it for sure, if you really are interested, let us know. We'll get you on that list and make sure you have a chance to do it. Rightio, Ainsley, it seems like a lot of build up, and thank you, Chloe, again for sharing your screen. By the way, Chloe, how did you enjoy your first live cross onto YouTube?
Good. Yeah, I think I'll be looking to make an appearance more often.
Someone loved the sugar and corn stuff on YouTube. One of the things, you'll definitely get invited. Look, it looks to me like going forward, we're expecting to have, generally speaking, we're going to have Julian on the second Sunday of the month and Ash on the fourth. And Orlando, Paul Hutton and yourself will do the ones in between as well. So I expect to have you in. It's nice to have some different views. I think the guys are enjoying having some different views of the market and the way things are going as well. And it's interesting because you see some comments from some people on the YouTube. You think, I'm not sure if they're our clients, which is good. If they're not our clients, then fantastic, and welcome along, and hope you enjoy it. If you're new to Access to Wealth and you're just watching this to learn about the market, then tell your friends come along, because you'll hear some great stuff about markets from us. Ainsley, gold and oil seasonal changes on the way.
Yeah, there are, and it's an interesting. Can I get you?
I was only joking about the Australians, right? I mean, I've got at least one friend who's in Australia.
It's still going to cost you. I will milk this for everything it's worth. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. I will milk it.
There's a long queue of grumpy Australians with me. Don't you worry about that either.
And we all remember that New Zealand is just an outer suburb of Sydney.
I'll tell you what, we're the suburb with at least coronavirus. Let me tell you that.
Let me have a look at my little gold chart. If you wouldn't mind, please, Paul.
Your gold chart, no worries at all. Let's find an X.
That's a pound, yeah, XAG.
XAU.
XAG is
XAU. What's going on with my...
Because that's a silver chart, huh?
Sorry, it's XAU. Oh, gosh, what am I doing? I was thinking, gosh, so gold's cheap, $17.
Oh, look, leave a Kiwi in charge of the till. Look what happens.
Yeah, nothing
Anyway.
works. Nothing works. One of the good things about being my age, and if you get something wrong, you forget about it within 24 hours, right? Can't even remember it, right?
We're talking with Ash? No. Okay. If we were to flatten that little chart out a little bit, what we have been looking at is that prior to, we were really ranging in gold there for quite some time, and we were expecting gold to go short. We've been running with the whole sell in May, go away, and seasonally it is the way it goes, is for it to gold to short at this time of the year. However, this year is an election year. This year is, and I've got to say, this year is a little more unique than others. So that's really been an interesting thing where the market's just not acting the way we expect. However, what we have had is a push up to 1750 during the week and beyond. It was on your little gold dot up there, dancing with their monthly resistance level. Came back down, and you can see on the day before, the second, or the penultimate bar in that, the second last bar, there was a really healthy retracement. But what it didn't do, what I was expecting it to do, and I was waiting for it to do, is we had this breakout of the box. It's gone up, hit monthly pivot, monthly resistance. It's returned. I was waiting for it to do one or two things. One is to continue on its high and continue upwards, or as we said last week, if it breaks out and comes back in, we're looking for a close within that box, that daily box, and it's just been happening. We didn't get it. What it's done, it's gone up and it's come back and it's closed on the top end of that box. It didn't close within the box. If it had closed within the box, I would have expected an opportunity for it to go short and to really nail it short and to the south. I had everything sort of set up for that. It didn't happen. What we've got on Monday is Memorial Day. It's a US holiday. What generally happens before a US holiday? Market rallies. What did we have on Friday? We had a rally in gold. We had a rally in quite a few of the other markets, but we had a rally in gold, which is one of the ones I was particularly watching after Thursday sell-off, because believe it or not, Thursday is a bit of a day you expect, and I don't know the rationale behind this, but Thursdays are retracement days. They just they tend to be a sell-off in gold, and then we had this pull-up that just took out more than half. Well, it closed halfway up previous day's bar. We are still not closed anywhere within that, within the consolidation box that we've got going there on gold. So it isn't really happening the way we expected it to happen this year. So one of the things, and it's really, really intriguing, is election year on gold, come the 1st of June, it rallies, which is not normal for gold. It tends to keep selling off, but on an election year, which is this year, gold rallies from basically the last couple of days of May right through to the beginning of July. It's not what you expect, but that's what we're looking at. And even though we were expecting this huge sell-off in May, we didn't get it. We didn't even get a close within that consolidation box. So seasonality, it's a little different to the other 3 years and the other 15 years that we're expecting it to go down, but this is an election year, and from the last couple of days of May through to the beginning of July, it rallies, gold rallies. So let's see where that goes from the next setup. We haven't had what I expected to have, which was a close within the consolidation box and a close within about the 17.15 mark and a run to the south. We didn't get that. It's just really, really interesting at the moment. Again, I'm still holding my positions from previous weeks. I haven't added to them. I haven't close them out, I'm watching really carefully. Got very excited come Monday with the Monday spike, and then just watched it move around, but it hasn't given me what I needed to do to close the trade out, you know? So I'm also watching the fact that we're at the coming into the end of May. It's the 24th of the 5th. In the last couple of days of May, expecting a turnaround and a run up on gold. So
Ainsley,
very
it hasn't
different.
given what you need to do to get it. You're long on gold. So I've been I've got a few Skype message. Been distracting me for a few minutes here. You're long on gold, and what you haven't seen yet is price action that needs to get you out of your long.
Yeah.
What would get you out of your long?
It closed below 17.15, and it closed back in that box. I haven't got it. Just haven't got it. There it is. Hello.
Yeah. Yeah.
I haven't got that close. If you move it up a bit further to the closes of those bars for this week, Paul. Up.
Closes
Look
of
at
the bars this week.
Closes of the bars. Drop it down a bit.
Sorry,
Drop it. Yep. Drop it down.
I'm still a bit distracted. I've got one close there, but the rest I've got one.
Drop, down. So what we're looking at there is we've got no closes back within that box. There's a consolidation box that's run from the beginning of April through, where it's just and it's got tighter, and then it's broken out and it's come back in, but didn't close within the box.
There's kind of a few, isn't there? It's like the most recent box is kind of, no, it's not particularly accurate, but that's kind of it. But,
kind of. But if you move it along to the closes and opens rather than the tops and bottoms of the windows, you will find that just didn't close that whole week. It tried, it broke out, came back down, retested that level a couple of times, and just didn't close back inside it.
And what we're saying is that it just hasn't come back in, right? So, yep.
Nope. And my seasonal say for an election year. Yeah, seasonal say for an election year, come the end of May, beginning of June, we look for a rally.
It'd be really interesting to see what happens. The next
and it's just
when people go back to work and find out whether they've got jobs or not, we'll see some interesting risk on or risk off plays. My bias is that the risk on, the risk off side. So it's got the short side is the place to have a look. But gold's the opposite to that. What happened with the US dollar? It's hard to put trillions of extra dollars in. Yeah, look, it's just a wacky world, isn't it? I mean, it's different, and even the fundamentals are different because we're seeing a level of market manipulation by central banks that we haven't seen before. We've seen this stuff starting to turn up, and we've seen the start of quantitative easing, but boy, on the scale we're seeing it right now. And look, honestly, you've got kids, Ainsley, and if they told you they were going to spend 3 or 4 times their income every year, you tell them that was irresponsible, right? That one day they'd have to pay the piper, right? And yet countries seem to think that they can just have the Reserve Bank go down and push some numbers onto a machine and give itself $50 billion and use that to buy their debt.
They've all been playing Monopoly for too long. The bank never loses. Go read Rule 11 of Monopoly. It's the same thing. The bank never loses money. The bank will never go broke. It just can print money.
Without wanting to get into it too seriously at this stage, because we do have a lot to go through, and we're already well past. We're getting up to an hour already. But the theory is that the Reserve Bank gives it makes up the imaginary, just gives itself the money. It makes it up and it gives it to itself, and it buys the government debt. And when the government settles the debt, it gives the money back to the Reserve Bank, and the Reserve Bank disappears the money again. And that's the theory of it. But I don't believe that 10 years from now, when that money comes back to the Reserve Bank, that in a Western democracy, the people will say, yep, look, let's take that $40 billion and just make it disappear again. The people will say, spend that on us. So I'm not sure this money is going to disappear again in the future. And what's more, the politicians who want to get elected will say, we're not having that money. The Reserve Bank's not getting rid of that money. We'll give it back to you guys. So
politicians will always do what is needed to win an election for the term. It's nothing long term about any of them.
Yeah, I think that's vaguely true.
No, and that's why you've got countries in debt, and when they have an opportunity they'll make hay when the sun shines, but the rest of the time they'll do what's popular and
There's
keep
gonna
them in
have to
office.
be, some
And
inflation.
it's a business.
Right.
It's not a
So
long-term.
you're looking for the seasonal long on gold. You're looking for stimulus money really to drive the stimulus and risk money to drive gold up.
Yeah. So what's been worrying me this last week, and a girlfriend of mine who trades, she does the S&P and she does the Dow, and she's made a huge amount of money over the last, like a lot of people made a huge amount of money, and we're talking about this. She said, "Oh, look, you know, it's good. There's a vaccine for coronavirus." And I just said, you know, that's today's news. And what happened? And what happened the next day was it turned out the news of that coronavirus testing was not all it cracked up to be, and there was a huge retracement. And what we're finding is that the market is so sensitive and just so soft. It just takes a whisper of something. Look at the oil chart.
It's pretty
GDP
typical for news,
figures.
isn't it? Day one, overplay of the news.
Yes.
Day two, overplay of the opposite of the news. This is, you know, overhype of the news, overhype of the opposite of the news, and you find that in day three you start to see direction of what's going to happen. And look, interesting, the virus stuff again. You know, world's a free. Well, we've got enough vaccines for these guys. They're the at-risk group. We're going to vaccinate them, and then we're going to start getting back to why would you vaccinate the 20-year-olds when the 7-year-olds are dying?
That's a long, convoluted conversation. It's probably very.
Well, I'll keep that for next time we're in Hong Kong. We've got a bottle of something. We'll move on from that. We'll move on from that. We'll know the answer by then as well. And by the time they get the vaccine, we'll both be nearly.
I am always going to be 36, Paul. 42. I've got a 13-year-old. I really need to adjust those figures. Yeah. But what I'm saying is, and it ties back into what you were saying technically, is TP1, go in, take TP1 and take it all off the table. Don't go looking for TP2 and TP3, because what is happening is the market is just so sensitive to anything and everything happening in the market. It is so volatile. And I'm not talking about volume wise and flinging all over the place. It's sensitive to the smallest amount of news that it will go bing and then turn around and go bang. Like you go, 50, 60 pips in one direction and then 50.
Ainsley, it's one of the things, isn't it, that I don't want to move off this at some stage, but it's one of the things, right, that normally when the market moves, what happens is news comes out, fundamentalists who are super qualified analyze that news and they know what to do, right?
Yeah, they don't.
So they push it, and then the retail traders push it too far and get annihilated at the top end, right? But the economists go, oh yeah, it's gone up 0.3, we expect to go up 0.1. Well, that means we should go up 30 cents. Let's jump in, 30 cents we're out, right?
Yeah.
And that's what fundamentalists do, right? The economists go, oh, well, that'll be worth another 17 cents the price of oil. If you have, let's buy some more, 17 cents, let's get out of here, right? That'll do.
Yeah.
Or, that'll be long-term good for oil, we'll buy and hold for a while, right? The problem we've got is that we don't have pandemic experts working on trading desks. So all these people are reading this news and they don't have a damn clue about it.
That's right.
And they're relying on journalists who are the journalists are almost the new lawyers. They're so dodgy these days.
They're the
We're
new
relying
taxi
them on
drivers.
information. We just don't. They don't. I don't mean to be rude about journalists, but I don't think that they are the people who should be. If we're taking advice of CNBC to invest in, we are likely to lose a lot of money. And but there aren't a lot of experts helping, and I think that's perhaps why we're seeing these overreactions come along.
Yeah, and that's where you get all these reactions, and that's why things aren't actually playing out the way that we expect. And unfortunately for me, who love, I love my seasonals. I use those quite. Well, had been using those quite religiously, but I just can't at the moment. But I still have to pull them into play because they're part of my trading plan, and I have to analyze them in the context in which they're being used, So yes, seasonal election year, end of May, beginning at June, up to the month of June, there is a rally in gold. Am I going to see that? Don't know.
I did.
Am I going to see it in oil?
I did say earlier that I was looking to give our mentorship students free access to the COT data, and we're just having a bit of problems getting onto our graduates area, and it's so difficult because we're in the middle of building a new graduates area, and we're struggling to get the COT detail onto the old graduates area. And we're having a bit of discussion between where we get it from, and where we get it from. Say, just do this, and our guys go, yeah, we can't do that. So it's like technical guys that don't know the answer. But my plan is to give our mentorship students COT and seasonal data for a month for free, and I'm hoping it'll be about 2 weeks away. Worst case scenario, it'll come within your website in about 4 weeks. But we are going to give them a month of seasonals and COT, and let them, and we can bring them into the show and talk about them, right? So people can see how you use these things to make some money.
Yeah. Under normal circumstances, because it's I've got to say, it's like flying blind. It's like trading blind until I actually started doing that study on it and understanding it. For me, my trading was blind, and I'm a technical analyst. I'm a certified financial technical analyst, and I love my technicals. But the seasonalities just gave me that extra level of confidence to put those trades on. So yeah, it's really important to understand those. What I'm grappling with at the moment is we're in uncharted territory here. I can look at a technical chart and all the rest of it, but this is tricky.
Can I back you up on a couple of things? And I'm going to move on from this, but you said that the seasonal, like we're turning a light. No, what was your expression?
It was like trading blind.
Trading blind, great. Look, when I first started trading all those years ago back in Denmark, when I was talking to Leon, he was the only guy I knew in Denmark, and I was talking to him, and he was trading, and it sort of got me interested in it. I was doing a little bit on, but I was going into it, and he kept saying to me two things. First of all, he couldn't teach me because he didn't know what he did. I found that really frustrating, but now I get it, right? That a lot of traders, there's some subconscious skill to it. You see things and you like them, you don't always know exactly why you like them. I get what he was talking about now. But the other thing he used to say to me all the time is the problem with retail traders is they're trading in the dark. And what he meant was they're trading technical patterns without an overview. And I mean, the guy's now the head analyst for Nordea Bank. He knows what he's talking about. And seasonals, COTs, fundamentals, if you need to, go to some longer time frames technically, they can give you a direction which make life a lot easier, And at the end of the day, these days, we're going to give our guys, our mentorship students, seasonals and COT for free for a month. We're going to sell it to them for like $40, $50 a month. You've got Justin's group, which is $49 a month. We special that off at $29 a month occasionally to get the fundamental stuff. It's not super expensive. And it reminds me a little bit of, it's interesting. I don't want to get too far off track, but when you do a trading course, all people want to learn is strategy, right?
Yes.
And I get that, right?
Yeah.
But if you ask them how much of trading is mental or psychological, if you ask them how much of it is psychological, good traders will tell you it's 90% psychological.
Yep. And
psychology is not a strategy.
No.
Psychology is understanding the market and being able to trade it. And we need to, strategies are great, but if you can get your psychology right, if you can understand how things work, you just find a level of confidence that's a different thing. At the end of the day, Ainsley, you expect to win, right?
That's the way the human brain is wired. You wouldn't go into a trade, you wouldn't go into a casino unless you thought you were going to win.
Oh no, hold on.
We're not starting on casinos right now.
Yep. I have to intervene.
Hold on. Hands going up from the bleachers here.
Oh.
I'm gonna just say again.
You wouldn't
11 of the last 12 times, 9 different countries, I've won. I know no one believes me. Chloe's in the room. She's been with me in the UK. When I've done it, no problems at all. I don't think I've been to a casino with any of the rest of you actually, but casinos are easy. Casinos are easy.
Hold on.
Selling cards, are we?
Oh God, where do I start?
I
can't believe
it's too late.
Okay, whoever said that, my 30 seconds, and maybe I'll leave Jeff to come in here and follow up with this, right? Is that everybody makes an assumption that people want to win. That assumption is not valid.
Yeah, that's so true, Julian. That's something that, back to the psychology, right?
Oh my God, it was a sweeping generalization. We're not going to.
It's like that Australian comment, right? It's just a big sweeping generalization. We all know one good Australian.
I think the Australian comment was actually a really polite insult and actually done very beautifully, Paul, as always with you. But
Paul Hutton wants to come in with his guitar and play some of The Gambler now.
If you want to get traders talking, the best way to do it is to come in and say, doesn't everybody want to win? and then see what happens next.
The thing is, Julian, it's such a subconscious thing, isn't it? I know.
Hang
I
on.
remember on the trading floor in London. Because Jeff here, Jeff's sitting pacing at the back. I remember you talking about this as well, that the most popular person on the trading floor is the guy that's losing the most money. He's everybody's mate. Everybody likes him. He's a nice guy. He's full of jokes, and he buys a few beers, and everyone else feels good because, you know, if you're making 2% and he's losing 10, you feel like you're brilliant, right? Because
you feel brilliant.
He's terrible. And, but the thing is that
Dave, and everybody loves him.
He gets used to being there, and he keeps himself there to keep his status in the group. And it's terrible. It's a terrible thing for his life. But not everybody in trading is, honestly, everybody thinks they're trying to make money. But that's the psychology stuff. A lot of people are not trying to make money.
I would go further than that, Paul. And I would say that you'd be surprised the percentage figures. In fact, I don't think you will be, Paul, but most people be surprised at the percentage figures of who's there to make money.
Sorry.
But you're saying that the amount of people actually say other things?
Am I on my own?
So what I was going to do was I was now going to qualify that by saying that there are some outstanding individuals who understand themselves and understand the markets, which is a skill that can be taught, but also there's a bit of innate talent in there as well too, who get it, right? And there's a couple of people there on the call right now, I'm not going to name names, who get this, right? And what we're trying to do with all of the work that we're doing is trying to take the people that get it and make them amazing, and the people that aren't quite sure and who are struggling to get it to the point at which they get it. And I think that's the big challenge, is that you've got to work really hard with some people who simply don't want to win. And eventually you let them go because they just don't want to win. And I can't explain it, but you've all have seen them. I've seen them. No, and I wouldn't expect you to, Ainsley, because you come from a slightly different mindset.
But it's one of those things. The problem is, the thing is, Ainsley, lots of people who've got to win, and I see the accounts right. Lots of people who have got to win trade in a way where they are guaranteed to lose. I mean, some of the risk we see is, you know, and we fight it pretty hard in the company these days. We are going to put a stop to some of this risk stuff, but it's insane, some of the stuff we see.
You tell me,
one of the problems about it, Julian, is that we say some people get it and some people don't. The problem is that it's invisible, and it's not a rugby ball you can pass them and they can catch. It's a concept. It's something. It's not an animate thing. It's an inanimate thing, and even in the getting of it, there's a little bit of time for it to sort of sink in, and you go, oh, you know, I've been doing that for a while now. I get the hang of this, and it's not it's not 1 + 1 = 2. It's like all of a sudden you go, oh, I've been doing that for a while now. I understand this, and so it's quite hard. You can't give them a multi-choice test on it. There's no multi-choice test on, you know, what's going on in the back of your mind psychologically about what you're trying to do. And I'll tell you this, and I do want to get to Jeff, but the most difficult day of my trading career was the third day of my trading career. I'd turned $2,000 into $52,000 in 3 days. And getting my head around what that meant, it blew me up for months. And I'm a very stable psychological guy, and it blew me up. It really did. I really struggled for a long time to get my head back around just what that meant for what I could do in my life. And to be fair, I don't trade that way anymore because I know the dangers of it now. But there's a real difference between thinking you can do something and then doing something you don't think you can do. It really does bounce your psychology around a fair bit. My experience.
I agree. Totally agree.
It's cool, totally. But it's challenging. And, you know, I guess in today's world, you know, it's an interesting thing. It's a skill that can be taught, Marcus, but it's not a skill that can be taught ABC. It's something that I'm going to be careful when I say this, because Jordan can do things with education that astound me at times. I thought his pilot program I did, he has an ability to teach you stuff without ever talking about it, which is amazing to me. I don't know who doesn't. We should move on. Jeff, you've been waiting patiently. Shall we wind this part of this thing up? I don't mean, look, actually, I completely mean to have Trader Talk Radio go wherever we think it's going to benefit you people.
I think
Right.
that's a good idea.
So it just
Just
doesn't
went-
matter to me where it goes. We
went
do need to get to
rogue.
Jeff and get on with the technical stuff again, but I don't mind this conversation because there'll be some people in the room. Some people in the room are going, what are they
What are we
talking about?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you'll get it 2 months down the track or 2 years down the track. All of a sudden you'll go, got it. And some people in the room are really close to it and they're going, that's getting clearer to me. And it's one of the things about trying to teach inanimate things. It's different. Julian, are you done on this?
I think I should let Jeff have a go because he was trying to jump in, and I'm really sorry, Jeff. I couldn't resist the urge
No, mate.
to
am I pushing
shout
buttons
from the
again?
bleachers. I had both hands up from the bleachers, and I was throwing popcorn
So did I.
at the same time.
We,
Oh, boys. I just, like I said, I just come from a completely different angle. If I'm going to put a trade on, I don't put a lot of trades on, but I do it with the highest probability in mind. I don't do it to not have a winning trade.
I see one of the
And
things,
I'm just different.
and I hope you don't mind me saying this, but that's really both you and Mikey out of the group of people who I know who traded in Sydney in the early days. Sydney being, on the outskirts of New Zealand. People who had commercial, independent, individual commercial success took what they were taught and made it commercially positive.
It's a business.
And other people got wiped out because they couldn't quite, people who didn't have I don't like using these words about people, but, commercial reality brings toughness, and people who didn't have the toughness that you and Mikey had just didn't make it. And, that's an organization that we won't talk too much about them. They're not our organization, but, people who had that commercial toughness tended to make it. And, it's just, I'm not surprised you made it at Forex trading. And it's not, a lot of talented people struggle with Forex trading, but tough people seem to make it to me. Or make it more quickly. Anyone can make it. You've just got to keep at it. I mean, we talk about this. We're talking about this again on Wednesday night, no doubt. In my Wednesday night ramble, we'll do more of this. Jeff, talk to me about these charts. I want to talk about some Forex charts.
Yeah, well, we'll get there. But I've got to say that my dear old dad, who's been dead for, I don't know, 40 years or something, told me 3 things. And he was a bookmaker, right? And I was his clerk for many years. So I kind of know how to add up and how to subtract. And at school, I was reasonably good at geometry, and we'll get to that very shortly. But the 3 things that he told me to this day are very, very pertinent. And the first of them was never bet with worried money.
No.
And I think that is amazing foresight. Well, it wasn't foresight because he lost shitloads of money, I'm sure, by betting with worried money. But he never put our house at risk as far as I'm aware, or anything like that.
Or if he did,
Maybe he did.
Not the second or third time.
Let's hope he didn't. Let's say that he didn't. Yep.
My mother always told me that there was food on the table before. In fact, he had his own gambling money, right? He had separate things, and as we all should do. The second of those things was never bet odds on. Now, I've kind of argued with that a few times throughout my trading career, because I think there are things that are far more likely than others.
Odds on means favourites, right?
Well, yes, in bookmaking parlance, yes, of course it does. There are horses that are supposed to win. Well, some people think they're supposed to win. I won't go into that part of the equation. But the third thing he said, and has always been a mystery to me, was never run upstairs. And
How are you going to get fit?
Sorry?
How are you going to get fit?
I think I understand what you mean. Whenever run upstairs, Jeff, it's like don't find the hardest way to do the hardest thing. Walk up the stairs, run down the stairs.
I'm yet to be convinced of that. But putting all of that together in the mixer and coming up with the result that made me and Julian at the same time put our hands up was I actually don't think we're programmed to expect to win. I think we're actually programmed in exactly the opposite direction. And as you said, Paul, it's only those who get it or understand how to win will actually move forward. And I think that's true of not only trading, I think it's true of the world commerce and finance and business in general. You know, it's only those who find out the way to do it will actually get the result out of it. And I really, sorry,
these things can be learnt. Mate, I have to run for 5 minutes. I'm going to be back. I'm going to leave you to transition from this into your stuff, okay?
Okay. Right, yes, we're talking
Question
about
for you,
technical.
Jeff, while Paul's just
Go.
gone AWOL. So, okay, but don't people put a gamble on, put a trade? They don't expect to win? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I think, yes, that's what I'm saying. And I think they've been programmed.
I don't get that.
Because you are programmed the opposite direction. You are programmed to win. You're a winner. But most people are not.
Telling me I'm different. I'm special.
You're special.
I have been told I'm special in a whole lot of other ways.
I think we have to change the mindset of people, in my humble opinion. And look, I've got to be absolutely upfront with you. I'm one of those people. I expect to lose because I've seen that many incidents of people being losers. I've been in the club game. I've been in racing. I've been in all of those sorts of things. I've been manager of registered clubs where I've seen people, ladies, drop their kids off at school at 9 o'clock in the morning, and they'll come to the club and they'll sit by a poker machine all day long, and they'll leave that poker machine only to pick their children up, right? So
you've got priorities. I get that, and I understand that, and I understand addiction. That's not what I was talking about. I wasn't talking about addiction. I was talking about, I guess it is the same. It's that expectation that if you are going to do this and you're going to put your money down, but that I mean, obviously a serious addiction is way past that. You are chasing the dream. It's just.
My hand's got to go up again, guys. Sorry, I've been listening to this. My hand
aren't
has
you
to
in
go
bed
up.
yet? It's late. It's past your bedtime, Julia. Go on.
No, because I love these discussions. I've just smiled at my wife, and she's given me that look, which says you should have been in bed half an hour ago. And
wink, nudge.
I love this conversation, Jeff. And look, I actually think there's two ways to approach this. So identifying the winning personality and the way in which that gets coached is a different way to the way in which you have somebody who's of a slightly different mindset. I still think both can be successful. I think that approaching it from a different angle can make the people that don't understand that the idea is to win, you can teach them to make them
absolutely agree with you.
Yeah, I agree.
And
I agree.
There's a bit of work in it though, mate, isn't there? I think.
So look, I had this conversation today in my mentor group actually. So it's day one today, and I asked everybody what was going on, and I'm not going to mention names, but one of the people said, look, what's really interesting is that I'm doing things and I'm breaking some of the rules from time to time, and I feel really bad about it. And I said, well, you shouldn't, because here's the thing, right? If you have a trading system that's 70% successful, you're going to lose 30% of the time. And you have to get used to that. And more importantly, that presents you with an opportunity. So I said, I think you just reframing right from the start would really help you in terms of your approach, because all you need to do is to say, the first time I lose on a trade, that's frustrating, but makes me more excited, because any 70% successful trading system, let's say the most number of losers you could pull out of it is say 4 at any one point in time, right? So the chances of that making that 5th loser on the spin is quite low, or the probability, more importantly, of you winning on that 5th trade is quite high. So what I'm saying is there's a conditional probability that applies to trading success, right, of a system. There's a mathematical way that you can look at it. And actually, for the people that are struggling with a slightly different mindset to the ones that Ainsley had in terms of the way they're thinking, it's actually about getting them excited about the losses and actually looking about it from another perspective and saying, hey, if I get to loss 3 or loss 4, this is actually an opportunity for me to look at it and go, oh my God, well, this is awesome, because my methodology, I know that loss 5 happens very rarely. And so in actual fact, my win probability is not just 70% anymore. It's more likely to be near a 90 to 95. Well, that completely changes your mindset about what's going to happen next. And may even change the way in which you scale your risk as well too. But notwithstanding that, the probability that the streak is coming to an end is quite exciting, and it gets you back on track again and back on track to maybe making a whole string of winners soon after that. So I think it's really important when you're looking at these things to say, actually, depending on the personality type that you're sitting with, there's different ways of handling it to make people successful. And yes, you know, some of this is about learning in a slightly different way. There will be some people at the bottom end of the pile who you just can't help, right? There will always be a minority that you can't help. But I'm a firm believer in thinking that everybody can be lifted, and all the boats, you know, all the traders can be improved here. And there's plenty of opportunities, providing that person is willing to take some time out and actually recognize what their strengths and weaknesses are. Ainsley has a different set of strengths and weaknesses, which from her perspective put her in a great starting mindset to you know, to become a successful trader. And you know, she is already, right? And maybe that just accelerates the process a little bit better. But everybody can participate in this and do better. And some of it is about the way in which you attack that from a coaching point of view.
Two things up there, Julian. I had a coach who told me, we were talking about, you know, if you put more than 50% of the trades on and they're successful, you'll do okay, which he told me was quote unquote bollocks, I believe is an English term. And he just said to me, you just don't put the bad trades on. So I didn't. But second thing is to actually understand what type of trader you are in the first place and what type of risk you're
We're still on this?
Yeah, we are. You back? We were filling in some time. And what kind of risk personality, what risk profile you are. And they're important things. They're important things. Otherwise, if you don't know what type of trader you are, we're not cookie cutter traders. And that's what you're saying. A lot of people can be helped if they understood, and what type of risk they are, what type of risk profile they are, should also be understood. Because it's not one size fits all. Having said that, Jeff, how are you going for?
Mate, look, I'm not sure how long we've been doing this session and this show, but
this segment's been going for about 3 days.
I mean, in terms of weekly. But I've got to say that.
How long you and I have been doing these trading shows, Jeff? You and I started doing these trading shows 8 years ago.
When Jesus played fullback for Jerusalem, yes.
When it was free, it was 5 days a week, free to all on. I don't even know what it was on. It was free to everybody on something back in those days, though. It might have been Facebook. I can't remember.
Wireless radio. I don't know. No, I don't know. But I've got to be honest here. I think we've just today cracked on one of the most important things that anybody who's listening to this, who is learning to trade, should ever hear. And I'm not joking. Strategies, we said it before, are one thing, but mindset is completely another. And yes, I will get on to technicals, but Julian is far more versed in the way to present that to people than I. And
good at it, and not just YouTube, he's exceptional at it. You know, he does it for a living. This is, you know, it's great for us to you know, to have people trade the money at home and to run little funds and all the rest of it's cool. But when you're trading, when you're training teams of people who trade $1 billion, you know, you get, not only do you get really good at it, you get professional help at becoming really good at it. You know, Julian doesn't just wander into a meeting of traders you know, every day and go, hey guys, what's up? You know, he's given training by his company on how to be really good at training people. And I really like that ability to teach us. I'm sorry, because I just cancelled Ainsley and I'm back on it, but I really like this ability he has to teach you stuff without particularly talking about it. It's fascinating how he does it to me, because obviously it's interesting to me because it's what we do. You know, I'm always interested in how we can become better at teaching people. But yeah, fascinating stuff. But I think we are now an hour and a half into an hour show, and I've got a meeting 15 minutes ago, and I do think we should get on and do some charts.
Okay, my apologies. Well, I won't apologize.
No apologize.
I say to my wife, I'm sorry, but I can't apologize.
Numbers on YouTube are good. Numbers watching this are good. It's not like there's lots of people, you know, we're not getting anyone, and we haven't had someone on the questions box or the chat group go, hey, get back to the trading, guys. I think people understand how important this stuff is. I also get that it was interesting when I did Julian's course. The first thing I wanted him to talk about was how he traded. And really, it was the least important. I know a lot of stuff anyway. It was the least important stuff you had to do, right? It's interesting how your mind works and how you want to hear that stuff. And again, I digress a lot. Let's get back to this.
Okay, thanks, Jules. Willing to have that conversation many hours in the future, and let's talk about Kiwi US dollar just because we can. This was weird. This was kind of weird. I said to you guys last week in this show, as a matter of fact, that we'd got into Kiwi US dollar short and we'd taken profit at the bottom of this range, which is on a smaller time frame. This is the weekly chart, mind you. We traded this on a weekly chart. And I did say to you, US dollar versus the yen looked exactly the same to me. Let's go to the weekly chart and compare that. Where we had this bar here set to go short, and we were set to go short underneath it. And absolutely, I said, as Monday morning, I will place a short underneath this bar, which I did, and got it completely wrong in terms of direction. Fortunately,
cost you no money. Yeah.
That's right, cost me no money. And that's the whole strategy, of course, that we put our entries in places which I call insurance policies. They're kind of places where we don't really expect to reverse if we get taken in. So interesting that we've got, and if I measured that bar, gee, I tell you what, wouldn't be far different to this one, I've got to say. My question now becomes, how does that look for a trade? And I'm just a little bit on the conservative side here, because I'd like to see this resistance level break. This is now on a daily chart. Sorry, how did I get off the Kiwi? I got off it very quickly, but anyway, we'll stay here for a second. But I'm of the opinion that this is due for more selling, and we've traded this a few times short in its very short lifespan. Well, it's not short now, I suppose, getting into the weeks since it got to this level here, which was the lower high on a bounce off the top of this range. This range, of course, being the descending channel. And I know those of you who think range are thinking horizontal, but I think outside of that, anything that's got a top and a bottom, whether it be horizontal, whether it be equal parallelograms, or whether it be whatever it is, doesn't matter what it is to me. Here's one here, this bigger picture on the weekly chart, or even on the monthly chart. And that's basically what we decided that we'd trade this short on this lower high here after we'd bounced off the top. This is modus operandi 101 for me, I suppose, these days, because we're just trading ranges. And we're getting into areas that are very, very interesting. Like this, when we're trading off the tops of channels and the bottoms of channels, we're looking for lower highs off the top and we're looking for higher lows off the bottom. If they coincide with a trend line or any confluence, it just makes it very, very interesting, and we tend to trade those. That's exactly how it's working at the moment, and it's working very, very well. So bring all that together to dollar yen at the moment. Yes, we are, well, we've just formed really. This is only the second high on this descending channel. But if you go a little bit tighter on this chart, which is the daily chart, you'll see that we've got a congregation here of daily pivot, monthly pivot, weekly pivot. Obviously, both of the weekly pivot and the daily pivot will change, but they won't go too far from here. And we are, as I said, just forming the top of this range. What I'd like to see is price break clear of this area here and then come back underneath it and retest the pivots, the trend line, and then we can look to go short. So that's kind of where I'm going for tomorrow morning. Won't happen tomorrow morning on a daily chart, obviously, but look for that type of scenario on your 4-hour charts tomorrow. And I wouldn't say go any less than that. 4-hour charts, if you break resistance and then come back underneath it and retest it, then you'd be looking to trade this short. And I think there is a pretty big reward available here if you can hang on. Parity may well be in play here on dollar yen as far as the technicals are concerned. Depends on how long it takes to get there, of course. If it's like COVID-19 introduction, then it takes not too long at all. But I don't expect that will happen unless we get wave 2 of COVID-19, and I'm not ruling that out for 1 second. So still a bear on dollar yen. Let's go back to the Kiwi, shall we? Kiwi US dollar. This trade's still in play, where we traded short underneath this bar here, and we've taken profit. We've actually got into this again on a 4-hour chart, if I recall. I can't quite remember. It might have been an hourly chart, actually. Might have been one of these bars that we got in on a 4-hour chart. Yeah, it was. And that one's still in play. So we're trading the short again as a lower high back into the range. The range on this occasion being a rectangle. I expect this will continue. Where will I be wrong? Well, I'll be wrong if, well, the daily pivot's going to come down to here, obviously, but I'll be wrong if this high is taken out, I would imagine. And I've got my stops up here where you can see that line. So probably look to get out of this if we go back to 61.20, 61.25 or something like that, and take the high of this candle out. So still bearish Kiwi dollar until the top of that range is taken out. Aussie's been a bugger, really has. Not so much because it hasn't been predictable, but because I've had this bee in my bonnet, I think. This bee in my bonnet about this monthly pivot. We've traded this pretty much from here up to this level, and then we've started to get wobbly boot, I suppose, and think, okay, I see the monthly pivot, didn't quite get to the monthly pivot. Oh, SH1T. Do I really want to trade this away from the monthly pivot? No, so I haven't taken that trade. Do I really want to trade this away? No, so I didn't take that trade. But here we are now. We've had a break above the top of the range. And we did mention this bar here might be a tradable bar last week on Tuesday or Wednesday. I can't remember when. But now I'm waiting for, and this is the daily chart, of course. Now I'm waiting for price to give me a lower high. So a little bit of a lower high inside this range, inside the box, if you like, does get me short. And yes, I will leave something open till we test that monthly pivot, most definitely. Aussie dollar is really difficult, I reckon, at the moment, because the dollar is so iffy. And I think I've said this for a while. It's tough to trade, for me anyway, it's tough to trade anything against the dollar at the moment because I don't know what's going to happen from day to day on the US dollar. I've got this overall weakness in the back of my mind, which is probably a bias that I carry forever because I think the dollar is just junk these days. And one day we'll see the result of that, I think. There'll be a very, very weak US dollar one day. But picking that is kind of hard. So the Aussie is a little bit easier, I reckon. And I said back here that we're now on a level playing field because of coronavirus. And that kind of proved to be the case. But now we've come back to, and is it a V-shaped recovery? It doesn't matter what it is, but we've come back to this level. And I think we're due a fair retracement, frankly, on Aussie dollar. Why? Technically, that's really the only reason I can give you. My target level was 66.75, and we just haven't reached that. Maybe there is another leg before we look for the short. I don't know. But I've still got the monthly pivot in mind. If we do go to 66.75, then I'm definitely turning into a short to medium term bear, and I want to see this back down here. Where it goes from there, I'm really not sure, to be fair. And again, it's very, very tough for me to say the US dollar is either weak or strong from day to day because it just is that way. And I can't go anywhere other than that. I haven't got any information in front of me that says, okay, we've got either a strong US dollar today and tomorrow we're going to have a weak one. That's just the way the market is, I think, at the moment. CAD Swiss, we've had a bit of fun with CAD Swiss, and this was, again, it's exactly the same every time. We're just trading the bottom of the range to the top of the range. And this was a bit ballsy, I've got to say, because we were kind of in the middle of nowhere. And this is kind of the regulation that I'm using. If we bounce off the top, then we're looking for a lower high. If we bounce off the bottom, we're looking for a higher low. So although we went to this level here and above the monthly pivot, and we actually got back below the monthly pivot, and that for all money to me looks like a trade to take short, but we actually played that long from pretty much that level because we were looking for a higher low. And I think that's really, really cool. As I said, it was a bit ballsy, but we found that higher low and we traded that higher low, and very, very happy with the result of that. We got 2 take profits now out of the trade, to be fair, but that was a good winner as well, and shows you, in my opinion, if you do get these higher lows coming off the bottom or top of a range, no matter where that range is, then you can get some good dough out of it. I was super pleased on Thursday, I think it was Thursday, that one of the people in the YouTube show that we do on UK Opens, Monday through Thursday.
The UK Open show or the US Open show?
I'm not sure which one, actually.
It's the UK, because it was on YouTube, you see, right? And the US Open show is the private one you've got to pay for, so it's only done on webinar, and the UK one's done on YouTube, right?
I'm not sure which one it was, to be fair. There's that many these days. I mean, I'm in that many webinars throughout the week. It's just crazy. But whoever it was noticed this, and I was just super stoked. I hadn't seen it. And we had this range in place, and they saw a double bottom sitting on the bottom of our range, and they noticed this higher low forming.
Is that JC?
And they put a look, mate, I can't remember, to be fair. Okay. I really can't remember.
I thought it was, could be wrong.
And they saw this higher low sitting here with this bar here. And they asked the question, is that a higher low sitting on double bottom coming off the bottom of the range? I said, hell yes, it is. Let's trade it. So we traded that live in YouTube, and we got a nice little result out of that. Straight to monthly pivot, obvious target. Perfect. So I was just stoked that that particular person had noticed exactly what we're doing and had picked up exactly what I've just been talking about for the last 10 minutes. And that's precisely what we're looking for all the time. There's a little bit more to it than that. And this candle is the P, not this one, but this one. And if you want to know why, then you probably need to subscribe. There you go. There's a plug for our shows. But there's a big difference between this candle and this candle.
How do they subscribe to your show?
Gee, you put me on the spot now. I don't know. How do they do that?
If they email James, he'll be able to help them out. Right? What is it? Is it $400 a month, $300 a month? What do you guys charge?
$34.95, I think it is. Singapore per month.
My gosh, we are just too nice of guys. Well done, buddy. Okay. So if they want to watch the US session with you guys, which is about 9 p.m. Singapore, Monday to Thursday, they can pay $34.95. Contact James and sort that out, and they can watch the shows and get a little bit extra, right? I mean, you do full disclosure in the UK session, but there's a bit more time in the US session to do a few other things, right?
Absolutely. We look at a far broader range of currency pairs, definitely. And Ash has got time to go through what he's actually looked at in the UK and what he's looking for. Sukri, it was Sukri. Awesome. He's just put it in there. Swee's just put it in there in the comments. It was Sukri. Perfect. That picked up this trade on Thursday, I think it was.
Isn't it cool when you teach people and they do stuff and they make money and you make money? It's neat, isn't it? It's a whole. I
think it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's the most rewarding part of trading, and I say that without absolute fear of contradiction. Forget the money. It's not about the money at the end of the day. It's about actually people going from where they potentially were as traders who don't see things to traders who do see things. And I think that's just the most rewarding part of certainly being in this organization.
I'm really lucky to Jeff, because I saw you go through it.
Absolutely.
And not everybody, you know, people. I think people think that we just woke up one day and started making money from trading, but I remember seeing you go through it. I remember having some, you know, some real compassion for the fact. At times it was bloody hard, you know. But you know, you made it. And I remember you making it. I remember some of that stuff was brilliant as well, you know. You know, it is a cool thing, mate. It is a cool thing, and you know, just as you know, we had to find our way, helping other people to find their way is pretty cool.
You got it. Nailed it 100%. Mate, I don't really have a lot more. It's going to be much more the same. What I would look for if I'm going to give a little bit of a tip for tomorrow would be that dollar yen that I mentioned, but euro dollars also got that potential. Not sure if monthly pivot is the thing, but don't like that candle on the 4-hour chart. The daily chart, I'd really like to see price bounce off this monthly pivot, give us that lower high here underneath these highs, and then we can look to trade this short. I think we're in this box for a while. Euro dollar's got a tendency to do that. Once it does go into range, it stays there for quite some time, and we're now in 2/3 of the second month of that range. Don't be surprised if it stays there for another month or so. And no, that's about it, mate, really. We're still in pound CAD short. Goodness me, we've been in that for the longest time. That's going quite well. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Everything's the same.
Nice, mate. Nice. I looked at the chart today and just thought it's your type of market. You'll be enjoying this.
Look, one thing I would say, yes, I am enjoying it, but there are issues. And the issues, I suppose I can show you on this chart as well as I can anywhere else. The issues are these. If I'm looking on the daily chart here, you can see this candle, it's coming off the bottom, but it doesn't give you much chance to get in.
Yep.
You've got to be zeroing down into the hourlies and 30-minute charts, which means you've got to be in front of the chart at the time. So if I go to here, again, there's your little double bottom sitting here, and you've got a higher low, but you've got to be in front of the charts, and that's early in. It's not even Asia session yet. You know, that's Australians are just getting out of bed at that time. That's kind of the issue that you have at the moment. They're there, but who can sit in front of the charts for 24 hours a day? There are really quick moves that are happening, and there's two obvious examples of that. There's a third obvious example of that. So whilst it's super duper, absolutely the ranges are working perfectly. A lot of the time it's a matter of being in the right place at the right time.
Cheers, mate. Fair enough too. Always the case, right? And one of the things as a trader, it's what you don't want to do is miss the trades that happen in front of you. What you can't help is missing the trades that happen when you're not there, and you shouldn't worry about it too much because that's just part of trading, right?
Yep.
Enough will happen while you're there to get you through. Okay, mate. I'm pretty keen to wind this up because I do want to try and keep TTR to sort of an hour and a half, and I think we've gone well past. We're 1 hour and 3/4 at the moment, and I was having a chat with Roy half an hour ago, so I'm sure he's still around. But I do want to thank everybody for being in. Enjoy the show. It is a bit different. Nice to have you and Ainsley and Julian, Chloe in, and to have those kind of wide-ranging discussions. While I, make a bit of a joke out of it sometimes and try and move it along. I only move it along because I think we need to. I really like the discussions. I do hope that you guys who are watching are getting a lot out of it. The whole point of this, again, I always say this, frankly, it wouldn't be difficult to spend this evening at home with our children and doing other things. And we spend it with you guys instead. And I hope you guys can learn something, and you spend it with us, and I hope we can teach you something. And that's what it's all about. Any final comments, Jeff or Ainsley?
No, all good. Just be careful out there.
Yeah,
only thanks to me mates that have had this chat today. I really enjoyed it. I think it's
been a good one, Jeff. I know we went off pace, but hey, it is part of trading, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
different mindset, different psychology, risk profile, trader profile.
Ainsley, we were talking about your role, and I just wonder if this is somewhere you should go. as far as your
You're
role
telling me
goes,
to
you
go
know?
go far
Where
away?
you going?
No, I just think, no, seriously. I mean,
Typical Aussies.
we don't have in the program who just talks, someone who talks,
Crap.
whose primary face is the mental side of it, right? We have a lot of people who are really good traders and they talk about the mental side as part of it. We don't have anyone who's really there and who's really mastering, you know, trading psychology. And my view, and it's really simple. I'm going to share my view with you guys before we finish on trading psychology. And my view, and I'm a simple guy. My view on most things is pretty simple, right? And I'll share my view on it. But I think it'd be good to have someone. You know, you do have all the qualifications and this kind of stuff. It'd be interesting to see you do a bit more on it. I think someone in the company needs to lead a bit more of this. Here's my checklist for you guys. Okay. It's a three-step checklist. If you want to check your trading psychology, step 1, have a plan.
Yes.
Step 2, follow the plan. If you do step 1 and 2, trading psychology, good. If you do step 1 and not step 2, trading psychology, bad.
Correct.
Simple as that. People write long books about it, but really at the end of the day, if you have a plan and you're following your plan, there is nothing wrong with your trading psychology. If you have a plan and you leave your plan, that is fear or greed every time. We don't call it fear or greed, but that is fear or greed every time. And, you know, for me, trading psychology is as simple as that. If you want to do something different, then write it into your plan on a weekend when the market's closed. You can't write it into your plan in the middle of a trade so you can do something different in your trade. That is not good. That is not following your plan. Only ever edit your plan on the weekends when the market's closed.
You've been listening to one of my courses.
I should say yes to that. To be honest, Ainsley,
thank you, Paul. Thank you very much.
Last night was the first night that I haven't gone down to the office after dinner, after putting the kids to bed in 2 months. And the truth is, I didn't listen to your last course, Ainsley, and there's a pretty good reason for that. With due respect to everybody on our team, if I needed to listen to, and I listen to everybody's first course, right? You do a course for us, and I either listen to it live or listen to the recording of your first course every single time. But in truth, if I need to listen to your course to make sure that you're providing quality stuff, you shouldn't be working for me.
No.
Right, I don't need to check on you, Anthony. I don't need to listen to your course and know that you're going to provide good stuff. I know the outlines of what you're going to provide. That's how the sentences are structured, isn't, you know? I know the quality of it. I know how you trade, so I know the quality of it.
Yeah. You got to listen more because you've got to censor it, right?
I was just saying that's exactly where I go with my trading plan, etc. You've got to have a trading plan. You've got to stick to it. You're creating a turnkey operation, and that's what that's 80% of your business model. Yeah,
it's a huge part. And look, it's really easy to get lazy around the stuff that matters, and we think that spending time in front of charts matters, but have a plan and take screenshots of your winners and losers. You'll go a long way. Jeff, whenever you were on, I just always remember that I've already had a warning from YouTube for you playing Renegade music. And every time you swear, I think I'm going to get another warning. I'm going to get another warning from you. They're going to give me another warning.
Oh, SH1T.
There's no warning coming from your. And honestly, some guy emailed that to me the other day, told me we need to get our SH1T together. I was like, I'm going to get Jeff off that freaking show. I was going to tell that to me. For God.
You got to have fun, mate. You got to have fun.
Mate, honestly, us oldies know that, right? Have a wonderful Sunday night, guys. I know it's still reasonably early Sunday evening in Singapore. Enjoy it. And
enjoy.
I think for you guys, one more week before it loosens off just a little bit for you in Singapore. I think Malaysia's extended a little bit as well.
Yeah, we're loosening off here.
Yes, Australia's going to take early suicide.
Hey, 1st of June, I can get to the beauty salon. Don't you worry.
Look, the other day I had to stand in line for an hour and a half for a haircut. Because I was doing a webinar. I promise you, at 52 years old, I haven't stood in line for a minute and a half to get a haircut in my life. Not once would I line up for a haircut, but yeah, an hour and a half to get a haircut the other day because I was doing a webinar. And 3 months ago,
Paul.
Sorry.
It's called an appointment.
Oh, not the first out of lockout. It's not, Ainsley. Can't get an appointment. Can't walk into the mall. Can't get in anywhere. One place had a queue. And I was the last guy. I was the last guy that took before they closed for lunch and had an hour-long break. When I came out, the queue was longer for them in the supermarket.
for people looking for loot paper.
Yes, well, we're past that stage in New Zealand.
I
we're
know,
past that
isn't it
stage.
good?
It's one of the, it is good, and
The
there
shelves
were a few
are
No,
people
it's
came
not
out on
really.
social media, and we just reminded people that just down the road from where you live, there are these big things called forests, and that's where the toilet paper comes from. We will be okay in New Zealand. We will have some toilet paper for some time to come. It's kind of like food, you know? You can stockpile food if you want it, but if you just go up the road, there's quite a lot of food in those paddocks.
There is, and there are a lot of paddocks. I've noticed even when you land in Auckland, there is a big paddock, and there's sheep grazing beside the airport.
Yep.
You've got it on tap.
Yeah, there's a few there's a few farms around New Zealand. There's no doubt about it, and a few different things these days. I think we're farming
But-
a few deer. Easy. If you make one of those jokes on my YouTube, I'm going to ban you. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful
good.
night. Do
Thanks,
take care. We
guys.
will see you guys next week. Same
See you
bat
later.
time, same bat channel. See you guys.
Bye.
Uru.
Cheers, everybody.